All right, well, here we are over in St. Paul at my buddy Joe's new shop, Next Level Automotive, his 12-volt shop that he's basically just starting right now. That's his Mercury that needs some engine work done, you know. That's what we do at this 12-volt shop, apparently. But maybe we'll get on that later. As for right now, I have a rack and pinion issue. I'm looking at the car from this angle right now because I wanted to show you guys how the wheels on my car look. The front wheel is pushed in a little bit. You can kind of see how the back wheel is kind of pitched in just a little bit at the top. The other three wheels are just like that, and this one at the front is pretty much straight up and down. So I'm thinking that it should look like the others, and it doesn't. And that's probably because I hit a curb sideways, taking a turn a little too fast, and I hit it right at the bottom of the wheel there, obviously, and pushed it in, and now I got some steering rack issues. My steering is wandering around. I got a smell and burning smell, and a little vibrating, a little grinding. Had this replaced about a year ago, but I guess hitting a curb sideways at about 30 miles an hour will wreck your steering rack. So we're going to go ahead and pull that out and see what happens next. Turn the camera. All right, so got the wheels off here. Actually, as long as I brought that up, got this wheel off here. This is the right wheel. Wanted to point out that there's some uneven wear here. Oh, hold that right there. I'm trying to find a good spot here, kind of demonstrate. There you go. There's some uneven wear here, and it's probably from this, some vibrating or the wandering. As the thing wanders back and forth, it probably has unequal pressure on this, or maybe because it's tipped up a little bit, it's on the outside, not the inside, whatever. Probably have to replace the tire now. I've ruined this wheel in so many ways. Poor wheel. Let's get a whole new one. All right, well, here's the plan. We're going after that. There's a bolt there, and another bolt a little further back, and a couple hoses, and I don't know, it's a greasy mess too because of the oil that's leaking from above. Had 3 points that was leaking oil. Had the oil pan gasket, had that replaced, but didn't do the other two yet. And right now there's an oil leak from directly above, and that would be right here with the oil filter housing gasket. There's some oil leaking right there. I think it's kind of traveling a little bit from the top, so that's got to get done. And then also the valve cover gasket needs to be done. You can see that right there. Those are the other two that need to be done. If I ever do that, I guess I'll make a video. But for right now, I'm worried about the rack. To get after that, I'm gonna have to get some of this shielding off. I think that's the skid plate for the oil pan. A couple bolts, take that off. Some shielding under here, and I think I'll have pretty good access to that rack. So I'll let you know when I get to that point. Okay, well, here we are at the shop again. You can see the axle on the floor there. We got the car up on stands, pan underneath it. We have the rack disconnected. Kind of show you what we got going on here. I do have the axle pulled out. Might not have been entirely necessary, but we were trying to get a little bit more access over here. Try and pull out the steering column from the rack itself, and you can see, trying to get a good look here, you know, it's got like those, oh, there you go, got those splines at the top there, and that's got to go up into the rack itself. Actually, you can see it's a little taller, see, and then that's got to go into, I'll try and do this with one hand without my fingers getting in the way, but that goes into here like that. There's a bolt that you got to pull out of here, and I guess in our case here the trick was to keep it as straight as possible, kind of get a straight force that way. We were prying it, you can see it's all marred up. I'm not proud of that, but I looked inside and the splines look like they're okay, so I'm gonna say that that's all right. It's just superficial on the outside, but we got that SOB out. Anyways, my next problem now is getting the rack itself out. The problem that I have is I have like 3 points that are impeding me. Right there you can see those splines can't really clear that pinch weld, and further back the hoses on the rack won't clear either. I'll show you here. Well, right there, and right there are the 3 points. So I think what I'm going to do is remove these 2 lines and she should come out pretty good, but I'm apprehensive about doing that, so I'm going to do a little research and see what I got to do to get that out. But I just disconnected those 2 lines and drained it in that pan, and that's all I had to do there. No big deal. I think it was 19 millimeter and a 21 or 22 millimeter down here. These here are going to be Torx bolts. I think that's like a 20, 25 maybe. Yeah, and that's it. So 2 lines there. I think it's 1 bolt there, and you know, a nut there and another nut there, and then I'll just have to fish that stuff through. After the fact, I'll have to practice by removing the other one that way, so we'll see how that goes. Being that I'm replacing it, I could just go ahead and do that, kind of see what happens. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, I wouldn't think. So kind of let you know, but I mean, it's loose, it's in there, it's disconnected. The only thing preventing me from pulling it out are those lines. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably disconnect those and pull that thing out and get it back together. Could be a little bit of a challenge with getting those splines fed back in, but maybe with those lines gone, it'll be a little more ruly for us. In any case, we'll have to just keep moving on here. As far as disconnecting those hoses, I was able to do it from the front. You got to look from the side when you do it, but if you do it from the front, you can get to them pretty easy. So all the connections of this are real easy to get to. It's just a matter of getting this thing out. So I don't think I have to take anything more apart. I could possibly drop the undercarriage here. I don't know. We'll see. All right, well, we're kind of fast forwarding to the end a little bit here. My battery was dead, so I had to jump it, and that did give us some problems in the interim. Without having a battery source, we did get it off a separated way at the beginning, but in the end we needed to jump it in order to rotate the steering wheel and all that. So we did that. I believe that you probably would have to get this axle out in order to get in there. It at least would make life a lot easier for you, just to have some more range of motion in there. So yeah, pretty sure you'd have to get that axle out. So we have this all buttoned up right now. What we had to do ultimately was to wrap on it from the top down to get that knuckle to go all the way to the bottom there, basically, if you can see that right there where that black collar is. My finger's in the way, but anyways, I had my buddy tap on it with a long extension from the top down while I held it straight, and then we were able to drive it home. We had the subframe unscrewed. You can see that screw right there. We had that completely unscrewed to the point that the bolts were loose in there, and it had dropped down, and that allowed us to get the rack in and out, but it still was really tight. So we had to kind of pry that gap right there just as far as it would give us, and still had to kind of lightly tap right on that housing is where I tapped to kind of finish it off. If I had to do it over again, maybe I would have just removed the hose lines on it, but I didn't want to do that. So that would have just presented a whole different set of problems. So in any case, then we also had to replace this tie rod down here. So got that taken care of finally. And so yeah, everything is all buttoned up. We went ahead and put in our steering fluid. Has to be this particular kind, this CHF 11S. Ended up getting, here it is here. There it is, CHF 11S. Got that at O'Reilly's. Used most of it. Just a little bit left on the bottom of this, and this is a liter, so yeah, just a little bit left, and I think it's about right. Haven't driven it yet. About to put the wheels on. Just had some brake cleaner, clean these rotors up before I put the wheels on. I'm burning oil pretty bad up here, so I think the next repair I got to do is this valve cover gasket. It's pretty bad, so it's burning on the exhaust down there. So we're gonna have to get that taken care of here, or maybe just sell the car. We'll have to see. She's got 180,000 on it, so she's tired. I mean, time for an upgrade maybe. But for right now, got the steering rack in. About to put these tires on, drive it around. I think I got it centered and everything like that. For some reason, I have 1 3/4 turns to the right and 1 1/2 turns to the left. I'm hoping that an alignment will straighten that out. But everything looks like it should be. You know, like right now the wheels are forward and the wheel is straight. So as far as I can tell, everything is the way it's supposed to be, and I guess we'll just keep moving forward. I'm drop this down with the wheels on and drive around and hopefully make it to the shop to get it aligned and be on our way. Well, here we are, the next phase of the repair from my curb incident, and it's a good news, bad news situation. The good news is there's the knuckle with the new bearing pressed in, so fast forward quite a bit here, but in the end I had to rent a bearing puller because my the kit's over there. Actually, it's in that case right there, but the adapter set did not cut it for pulling that bearing out. So we had to remove the knuckle assembly and then bring it over to the press, which you got way over there, and press it out that way. And boy, it took quite a bit of force to pop that out. But anyways, we got all that out. We were able to save the wheel hub there by cutting off that last little ring, and I give a lot of credit to my buddy for cutting that off. In the end, it was only a tiny little scratch, and I'm hoping for the same on the other side because that thing is expensive. It's like $120. Talking about the wheel hub there. Anyways, so problem came up on final assembly here that, long story short, from hammering on the end of the axle, the end is all mushroomed out. The threads are cross-threaded and basically flattened. It's a mess. So I'm basically just gonna replace the axle. And I suppose if there's a glass is half full on this, it would be that if there was ever some damage to this axle from hitting the curb sideways, I guess that will be resolved at this point, unless there's a transaxle issue, which I doubt. Any case, that's where we're at. So I have to take this axle out, and then I can put the knuckle in, and I also had to change out the ball joint on that, and then I can put in the control arm rear, the control arm front, and the tie rod end, and then the strut, and that should be it. So supposedly there's a set screw or something that a little further back, so I'm going to look for that, and hopefully this thing will slide right out. Put the new one in, put everything together, be on my way. That'd be nice.